Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Drake. This is my autism spectrum disorder project. There's many characteristics of a student with autism spectrum disorder. There's difficulty with social relationships. Means they cannot, or not cannot, but they do have trouble making friends and talking to adults and other students, their other peers. And that brings me to communication. When they feel pressured, they do not work well with other students. They have special interests, and there is a lot of stress on these students. With social relationships, people with autism spectrum disorder, they resist human contact and social interactions from an early age. They may not want to be held or talked to or touched, not only from an early age, but as they go through life in general. They fear they don't fear, but they don't make a lot of eye contact. So working with students with autism, if you're trying to talk to them and they don't look you in the eye, that's a clue that they may have this, or the autism spectrum disorder. They do not seek out social interactions with their fellow peers. They may not have a lot of friends. They may not have any friends. They do not talk with their classmates or try to make those friendships. They cannot take on perspectives from others when they're working in a group or doing an assignment together. One person may have one perspective on what needs to be done, and the person with autism will decide that, or can decide that they have one way and that's the way it needs to be. Communication with these students can be very difficult. They may not respond to verbal or nonverbal communication when we're speaking to them. They may not acknowledge that they have heard us. They don't understand nonverbal cues. They may have a delay in language development because of the human interaction, and they don't seek out social interactions that can cause language development to be slow. If they do have language skills, they struggle to carry on a conversation, because a lot of times when they're speaking with someone, they feel pressure to talk, so they tend to not use their communication skills. Some can't write, so that's another communication issue that they have, is even writing down their assignments or doing those types of activities. And they have trouble communicating about their experiences. If they've gone through something, pressure could cause them not to be able to communicate those experiences, whether good or bad. Some may use negative behaviors to communicate. They can run out of a room if they're feeling like they're not included, or they're having too much pressure. They can physically harm another student by hitting them if the student is causing them to become distressed. Some may use those cues, those behaviors, just to say hi. They don't know in any other way. And they can become echoey, as in saying exactly what the person before them had said, instead of finding another way in their own words to describe what's going on. They have their interests. They have a narrow range of interests. They'll focus on one area and just stay on that subject and learn all they can about that. And when they're in an environment where they need to learn about other types of things, they act bored, and that like it doesn't have anything to do with them. It's not in their area of interest. And this can have a negative impact on their social relationships with their peers, with their family members, with just anybody in general that comes in contact with them. They students with autism spectrum disorder have a lot of stress in their lives, and so they have a low threshold for dealing with the stress because they feel like they've got so much coming at them. They have anxiety, trouble staying focused with wherever in their environment. They fear a lot of different things in their environment, and some respond to the stress with restrictive and repetitive behaviors. Some may have a ritual they must complete before they start a new task in school. Some will sit and rock, maybe twirl their hair, wring their hands, those types of things. The diversity of students with autism spectrum disorder. Some may need extensive support or a modified curriculum. That means that we have either pairs come into the classroom, or as a teacher, as a general education teacher, we can modify their assignments. They may need extra time to get ready for and during transitions times. And some may need support throughout their lives, just with daily routines and things like that. They have trouble communicating, even if they have language and the intellectual development. The stress and pressure with talking to people that they don't know comes into play here, so then they have trouble talking and communicating what their needs are with those people. They may have trouble using the right language for a situation. If it's a situation where they need to be compassionate and they use humor, or the other way around, they're trying to use compassion language when it should be a humorous language that they need to use. They can struggle to make friends or even keep those friends because they usually have a one-track mind for one area, and they'll spend all the time that they have on that one area, and their friends may not be something that their peers are interested in. They can complete their schooling career and then go on to college, knowing that there are the things that they need to do to get to that point. Instructional support for students with autism is responding to behaviors, fostering social interactions, and communicating with other students. When responding to the behaviors can be changed with a very constructive behavioral program. Some of these students may be on behavioral IEPs where they are rewarded for doing the behaviors right, or their assignments, or changing different things by social interactions and things like that with their peers. Some behaviors can just be ignored, like they're rocking if they're too stressed, the wringing of their hands, the twirling of hair. Those things, we do not need to intervene with those. Now, if it was a situation where they're becoming violent, then we need to look at their behavioral IEPs and figure out solutions there. And again, some behaviors just have a simple solution, like if they have problems with transitioning, then we can allow time for those different things. If we're going to change the classroom, let the student know beforehand and let them become accustomed to the idea before we just up and change everything. The accommodations can reduce the behaviors, and they just need structures to help with these behaviors. If they can have if the routines are the same every day, try not to change your routines. If there is a change, speak with the student beforehand and let them become accustomed to the change. Don't just start changing things without letting the student know. We can foster social interactions. We can observe their behaviors while they're in groups to understand their purpose. Maybe help give them cues as to what's going on, or speak with the student while they're in group. And then we can look for misunderstandings from the students or the group that they're in and help foster new ideas and ways that they can go on throughout their day and work with other people. We need to teach them to take turns, wait, and to be flexible. students with autism spectrum disorder, they need to, a lot of times they want to be the first. They can't slow down. They don't know how to be flexible with other students or even with us as teachers. Communicating with students with autism spectrum disorder, there's a wide range of strategies. Some communicate with speech, so we can talk to them. Don't make them feel like they're pressured to talk. If they use sign language, learn how to use sign language or for their needs. Don't make them feel pressure when you're trying to communicate with your students with autism. Communication boards, have pictures up in your room, like for restroom, drink, a break, so that they could just come over and point to that. In this day and age, we just have all kinds of technology that they can use in the classroom to communicate with us and with other students. So we could look into those types of things in the classroom. That's all. Thank you.